So I've enjoyed watching your group videos so much. You guys have done an amazing job at just facilitating groups. I'm almost done. I'm almost done with with watching them all. I think I have three more left, which is great. It's been really enjoyable to watch the groups because you guys have seemed like natural group leaders. So maybe some of you already have some experience leading group, which is great to again watch and be part of. Um, but again, I have enjoyed watching them. Almost there. Hopefully that will be done actually today. So we're talking about the working stage. And members must be ready to go, right? Like we've made it through the initial phases, we've gone over the limits of confidentiality, maybe have started some cohesiveness. Now we're doing the work. We're getting to the meat of what the purpose of the group is, whatever that group is. We're hoping for a meaningful experience. Um, we're going deeper than just the surface. We're over any sort of, small talk, things of that nature. We are working towards getting to the meat of the group. And so, we are past the transitions. Working involves the entire group in a member's personal work. So everyone's kind of maybe sharing, contributing about specific things. You could see even in your guys' groups, even though their role plays and stuff, maybe some personal stuff came up like as used for the role play, but the group members were even talking to each other to encourage one another or to kind of give insight on a particular topic or idea. And this is going to probably come up more in the working phase, especially as people have established some level of knowing each other and enjoying each other's company in that time of group where they feel comfortable to comment. And that's a really great thing to experience because then as a leader, you're just kind of there observing and facilitating, maybe not having to do as much work because the work is being done organically from what's been developed in the group. And that's where starting off really well, it's kind of like parenting, right? Like you train up your child in the way they should go. Like once you've invested so much, you're hoping that they begin to make decisions or start doing things in the way that they should go. And that's the same with the group. Like you've done so much work at the beginning to kind of set it up that it's like becomes this organic thing that naturally is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay. Tasks in the working stage, both support and challenge to take risks in group. Use a variety of interventions, again, depending on what modality you're doing, what the topic is, what the nature and the goals are of the group. You're going to be trying your interventions. There might be more direct interactions, like I just was discussing. Hopefully, some healing, and hopefully more cohesion. And there's more of a group dynamic that is healthy, of course, and is growing. There's more trust. Members are clear on the goal and hopefully seeing maybe some change. We're really focusing on the here and now. Members are sharing, making their stuff known. And if there is conflict that's brought up or criticism that's maybe make someone to be offended, that it's being addressed and not ignored. Okay. Um, you know, mistrust can in the non-working group, so meaning things aren't going well. Mistrust is manifested by an undercurrent of unexpressed feelings, so maybe some passive aggressiveness that's happening or people not really saying something's bothering them even though it is. And oftentimes when we act like it's not bothering us, it shows with our body language, or maybe all of a sudden one person really participated and then they backed off, things like that. Participants focus more on others than themselves. Participants hold back and may feel distant from one another. Conflicts are ignored and avoided, and communication is unclear and indirect. These are things we do not want to happen. So we're trying to, make sure we're getting those things ahead of time so it doesn't create a level of discontentment in the group. We want contentment in the group. We want group to grow. And we want to model hard conversations. We want to talk about things that are hard versus not talk about things that are hard. And that's important. We want to make sure the choices that are made during group are disclosure versus anonymity. So like being anonymous, not sharing, authenticity versus being guarded, spontaneity versus control, acceptance versus rejection, and unity versus fragmentation. Okay. So the value of homework in groups. Now, depending on your group, you may not need homework. I don't know. Every group's different. If you're in like a rehab type facility or inpatient facility, homework, they have time and maybe space to do homework. But I do think homework is beneficial, especially if group members are committed to do it. Clients are committed to do it, whether it be an individual situation or a group situation. So it's to help take what you've learned in group and apply it to your life, or find depth to it, or maybe research meaning. And so I'm not against it. It's just something that, getting members on board for that could be a little tricky sometimes. Not knowing where everybody's at. Excuse me, guys. Get something to drink here. Not knowing where members are at intellectually may cause sometimes some discrepancies, so something to take into consideration. And just, time and whatever. So if you are going to do homework, making sure it's practical for like people in all different kinds of situations would be important. When I'm dealing with individual clients, I will ask them, especially if I'm encouraging reading of a text or something, I'll ask them if they will read, because if they're not willing to read, like, I'm not going to suggest reading. So that might be something you can square away with group members, like from the very beginning, if homework is going to be a big part of your group. Now, if it's a court mandated group, it might be the expectation. Like I said, there's a lot of different groups out there, but it's just making sure that, we're clear on what is expected and why homework is important. Like, for example, I'm part of a Bible study. If you're going to get the most out of Bible study, you need to do the work during the week, right? That's a given. Kind of could be the same with group, depending on the nature of the group and what the priorities are. Okay. Therapeutic factors that operate in groups. So there's obviously self-disclosure, feedback, confrontation, cohesion, hope. We see a willingness to risk and to trust, which requires vulnerability. There's a level of hopefully caring, catharsis. I see catharsis a lot in group settings, because I could even see it in your videos, right? Because of like, I'm not alone. This is cathartic to be able to get this off and someone can understand me. That is very validating and freeing for a lot of people. Okay. Humor. I laugh a lot in my therapy sessions with my clients. I think, like, if we're not going to be laughing about things, we're going to be crying about things. So let's laugh. And we have a really good time. And I think if we can see like some humor in life and the way things are, like, more power to it. It doesn't have to all be like depressing and sad. Now, if it is, that's okay too. But I mean, you can like laugh at struggles sometimes. You're like, like, it is what it is, there's nothing wrong with that or inappropriate per se. Self-disclosure. So self-disclosure should be related to the purpose of the group, right? We're not staying in the here and now. We're not going to start self-disclosing about things that are irrelevant. But having some kind of boundary is good, so people aren't going off tangent and talking about things that don't matter. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you're in a stage where that is appropriate. So giving feedback with honesty and sensitivity. We want to make sure that you're letting others know how their behavior affects you. Avoid global feedback. So you want to just make sure that, when we're giving feedback, it's not judgmental or like critical to be mean. Constructive criticism sometimes is hard to hear, but just being able to, if there's been rapport that's been built with the group and people trust one another, even if you're going to say something that's critical, it may not always be taken that way. It might be seen as like, thanks guys for that insight. It's really helpful. I know you care about me. It's not like you're out to get me, right? And that comes from trust being developed in the group, which is really cool to see. Like when I think of Jesus, and he did this so well. I wish I could emulate this, but like when he met the woman at the well and he's sitting there looking into her eyes and he's telling her about her sin and the things in her life that weren't great. She didn't take it as offense and didn't take it as like, you're just against me. Like, she wanted what he was willing to offer her, which was living water. And so, when we've developed a level of care and concern, and I'm not alone, and you're in this with me, even if we have some like constructive criticism to give or feedback that can maybe be hard, I'm able to take it as you care and and that's why you're telling me. And if we can create that kind of culture in our group, we're going to have really great success, even in having hard conversations, which is ultimately what we want, right? We want the most for our group members. We want them to be able to really succeed. We want them to really get the most out of the experience. And the way they're going to get the most is by us really being honest with them, and them being honest with themselves. And so we don't want to hold back from that, because hopefully we can model that for them and the other people in their lives. Okay. And so lastly, we have the final stage. You're like, wow, we already made it here. We're week 6, final stage. We are almost done. There will not be a live lecture for week 8, just a heads up. We have some discussion boards and of course your reaction papers, and there's some more things due, but we're to the end. We're almost done here, guys. So we're to the final stage. It's the end of group. We want to make sure people are aware the group is ending, right? We don't want to have some abandonment issues because nobody knew the group was ending, right? So just make sure that we've given adequate notification about when things are ending. Allow the members to prepare emotionally, maybe have a ceremony if needed, or if it's like a certification type thing, make sure you're ready with those things. Maybe some sort of be able to process what we've learned, how we've grown, how we've appreciated the group, what's something the group has really taught you. We want all those kinds of moments for the group. What was meaningful in the group, assist what was something you're going to take away and hopefully use the rest of your life. What are maybe extra referrals that people may need? There's definitely could be things that people need because they're still lacking, or they're still struggling, or maybe now they're ready for individual therapy. Make sure we're ready for whatever those things may be. If the group is closed, obviously it was only meant to be 8 sessions. So sometimes in open groups, that could be like, again, inpatient setting, people are coming, going, that somebody's ready to leave. So even though the group will still be meeting, they're not going to be there anymore. So maybe the group celebrates them, encourages them as their way out. A closed group, it's like everybody knew this was going to end in 8 weeks. So we're to our 8th week. What have we learned? How have we grown? A lot of personal reflection, review can happen during this time. Really encouraging, could be emotional. Could be something that you prepare them for, like setbacks or relapse, or, despite we don't want those things, that we realize those things happen. How can we set them up successfully for those things, right? And how do we get them excited for what's to come, like, and not feel nervous that I don't have this anymore and I don't know if I can do it. These are examples of questions you can ask. My greatest fear for you is, my hope for you is, I hope that you will seriously consider. I see you blocking your strengths by. Some things I hope you will think about for yourself. Some ways I hope you'd be different with others are. Just ways to kind of encourage and give strength. And even if you do some sort of creative activity where people could take something with them, like, I've heard of painting rocks and things, but take something with them, or when they see that, they're like, that's group. That's my reminder to be like this because of what I learned in my group. It could be super helpful, because a lot of growth can happen. But this is the thing. Depending on the kind of group it is, we can change, but we can't change other people. So maybe some of these people are going back into environments where the people around them aren't different, or someone's still using, or, they have to parent with someone who's not on board with them, or deal with an ex that's not dealing with the same things as them. And so it can be a lot that they're facing, and just knowing, like, even though we're not meeting, you are not alone. We did this together. You can do it. That kind of stuff can be inspo for people to keep trudging along as they're on this journey with group, what they've taken from group, what they've gleaned from group, and how they want to use what they've learned to apply it to their lives. Okay. We want to make it practical so they can see the application to their everyday life. And even having them prepare, like, when I'm struggling, what am I going to do? What's in my toolbox that I've learned, and maybe refreshing their toolbox. We learned this coping skill. You can do this on your own. what are some things, and that will help them to be mindful of those things when the troubles arise or problems happen. So I hope this information is helpful to you. I know this is like tidbits. It just kind of goes along your reading, what you're learning, what you got to experience in leading a group. Again, very impressed with your guys' leadership skills and your ability to collect members. Honestly, this was the easiest. Maybe it was my disclaimer at the beginning because I drilled it in, and that I will remember for the future. But easiest time with people finding group members and navigating that. And I really, truly appreciate that because it can be such a hassle. I know it's difficult, but you guys really did a phenomenal job. So kudos to you, encouragement there. Very impressed with your leadership skills and your ability to find people and work together, as some of you were classmates working together. I really do appreciate it because it makes this class a whole lot easier when we can actually get to experience what it's like to be a group leader. And hopefully that will give you some idea of some things that excite you for the future. Maybe you're like, I never want to do that again, which is okay too. But for a lot of you, I'm like, you have a gifting in it. You did great. And some of you didn't have like the easiest actors, which is usually how it goes with role plays. So, it's been really good to watch and to see you guys work through it. So I hope you have a great week. Week 6, here we go. Talk to you later.